Hello and welcome, my leaves that are revived from a disc stone. So yeah, Monster Rancher. Is it a dead franchise? Certainly not. It's still alive. Have we seen anything new about it? Not really. We have those deluxe versions of 1 and 2, but other than that, a new game doesn't seem to be likely. However, I do think there could be a new game and it could get some glory it actually deserves. Thus, I would make some changes to the game's typical formula though. Don't worry, I'm not completely changing it into a different genre or something. I will stay close to its roots, just some quality of life update stuff and some ideas to make it more appealing. So, yeah. Let's go over those ideas. First off, I would include a bit more story into these games. They are, as they are now, mostly basically a VPAD simulation monster raising game thingy. Which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But having something to accomplish in it other than a rank, that might be great, right? It shouldn't be a story like it is in the anime, where you have to fuse those 5 special monsters and such. No, you should still be free with raising which monster you ever want. But like, sometimes events happening that lead to something, maybe a big bad in the end that still works in the tournament style. Like an evil team of monster ranchers or something. Something like that would be good. Not completely necessary, but I personally definitely would enjoy that. Tell me your ideas of what the story could be in the comments below. I would be interested in seeing those. Of course, we also need some kind of system for resurrecting monsters. And, well, if you want to release it on consoles, like the Switch for example, you cannot really use CDs anymore nowadays. Also, even for a PC release, you might just not have a disk drive. And the PS5 even comes without a disk drive as well, so we need something else. But, well, I had an idea. First off, there were some games that used a password system, though I think that's not that good of an idea. It worked for those, but we could do something more interesting that's more akin to the CD idea. And that is, well, actually 2 things. Either reading out your game library or your game saves. Though the game saves might be a bit problematic when it comes to the security of stuff. But yeah, by reading out your game library, you can choose a game, for example, Pokemon, and it turns into a, let's say, mochi. Why not? It, of course, has to have some algorithm to determine what game turns into what, but I think this would be a neat idea that would actually work and remind you of the old days with the CDs, and that's pretty cool. One thing I think it could also benefit from is if you were able to raise more than 1 monster at the same time, like maybe 3 or 4. It could work as in you set the week's schedule for each on their own. You'd have to do a good menu for that though, so it doesn't get too convoluted. But I think they could pull that off and you could raise monsters just more easily and more streamlined that way, without it costing too much time. Personally, I don't mind it costing a lot of time, but for the general audience it could be off-putting if the game is too slow-spaced. So, yeah. Changing that would probably benefit its audience as a whole, so would be good. After all, if you like Monster Rancher, you want it to be bigger because then you get more new stuff from it, right? And then there's the actual ranch of the rancher part. Yeah, you can update your ranch, which gives you benefits, but I would say you can up that game a bit more. Maybe even make the ranch completely customizable, that you can decide where which building goes. Maybe even make the ranch explorable, so that you can walk around on it, though that isn't really necessary. But what I definitely would like to see is that you could upgrade each building on its own separately whenever you want. And have the materials and funds for. Because you shouldn't just put upgrade there, and why would you have an upgrade system if you can just do it whenever you want, right? There should be some money hurdle to get over or something. But yeah, that would make your farm a bit more customizable and maybe even allow for more customized looks on top of that. That would be great. And lastly, the meat and the bones of it. The battle system. Don't worry, I'm not gonna change it up too much. But the battle system as it is can be a bit hard to get into, and the options you have in battle are a bit limited, and I think I have a way of opening them up. First off, instead of moving just left and right, you can freely move around the whole arena, which would be great. But the distance will still matter. As it is now, the distance determines what technique you are using. And with the D-pad, you can actually choose between different attacks that are in the same slot by pressing up and down. However, if you streamline that and say that while the distance still matters and determines which 4 kinds of attacks you can use, you actually use those attacks by pressing one of the 4 face buttons where they are tied to. And thus you can easily access all your techniques and change them up on the fly, which I think would really up the gameplay while keeping it mostly original and not changing the formula too much, so it can still be the thing that you enjoyed. Another thing I would add to it, because we have those 4 buttons on the top and we can use them, is some new stuff. Obviously. So, first off, in the games you can do something that is called push, which just means press hard into the direction of your enemy. I would say by doing the R button, you can do a push, which means you make a small leap towards your enemy and thus gain a lot of distance to get in close range fast, but with the not benefit, but more like demerit of you being vulnerable while doing that jump, and maybe it even costs willpower, or maybe you can only do it like every 2 to 3 seconds. There needs to be something for you not be able to spam it just for balancing reasons. And sometimes you want to do the opposite thing of getting into long distance range. So there's the L button with a pull command, which basically does the same, but in a different direction for obvious reasons. And then I would add 2 more things to it that the game could also benefit from, which by pressing L2 or ZL or whatever it's called on the controller you're using, the back one on the left, you defend. How could defend work? I would say while defending you take less damage, obvious, but also do not gain will, or gain will slower. That's a balancing thing that, well, needs to be balanced. But also, if you press the opposing button, R2, or ZR, or whatever, you can charge, which actually makes your will go up faster, but when hit, you will take much more damage. So do it, for example, when the enemy is low at will and cannot even attack you. Then you would really benefit from that. It's all a strategical thing that you can use. Maybe it won't even really work. It's just a guess I'm throwing in there that I think might work. But in the end, all would come down to balancing. And when it comes to RPGs in general, balancing is key. A good balance makes a good game. So, yeah, there's that. And these are basically all the changes I would make to the franchise to make it more appealing to a broader audience, to make it grow bigger. Tell me in the comments below if you like those ideas, or if you dislike them, that's fine as well. What would you change? Would you change anything? All that stuff. I like to have a talk with you about this topic because I think it's really interesting. And while you are down there, also push on that like, subscribe button as well as that little bell to keep updated whenever I upload a new video. And check out the links down in the description below, leading to my Twitter, Instagram and Discord where I post stuff and keep you updated, as well as to my merch store and my Twitch where I live stream every Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday. On Monday we are playing Monster Rancher 1+2 Deluxe. Currently we are still in the first one. So I hope to see you over there as well, and until next time, bye bye!